The oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, calcium, and phosphorus, which make up our own bodies, can be traced back to the stars and supernova. We are stardust.
We Are Stardust is such a gorgeous piece that just brings one word to mind, and that's universality. The idea of our interconnectedness and how we are both an incredibly important story in ourselves, but also a part of a much, much, much larger story than our minds can even fathom. And the role that each of us plays has meaning, has significance, and as far and distant as we could feel from things like stars, they are actually so much inherently a part of who we are. These are beautiful ideas that are gorgeously articulated in this moving piece. Great job.
We Are Stardust. I thought this was really, really beautiful, and I thought that this was such an interesting kind of perspective to have. And I love that they kind of took it in both directions, where they like zoomed out and out and out and out and out, and kind of went way above and beyond what we're kind of typically taught in school. And it also had up-to-date information, because as we continue to learn more and more about space, if you don't work in those areas, or if it's not a sort of interest of yours or like a hobby of yours, you don't necessarily get the most updated information, or you won't necessarily hear the most updated information, because that's just not where your interest is. And especially, like I said, if you aren't like working in that sphere, or if it isn't like a personal, like, interesting hobby or interest of yours, to continually learn about space, then you're not going to be reading up about what new discoveries they have. And so I thought this was so interesting, because it gave all this information that we have probably learned since a lot of people were in school. So you kind of get this kind of fun way, and almost like ethereal way of learning everything new. And I liked how they kind of brought it back and back and back and did the reverse of that, like going all the way back down into some of like the core basics that were taught again in school, but like of like biology, and of kind of like elements, and how we are formed with atoms and electrons and things like that. And I like how they kind of connected those two ideas, because in school they're taught in very, very different ways, and they're taught as different, like they're both taught as science, but like they're taught as very different subjects. So I like how they found a way to kind of bridge that gap and show just how everything is interconnected, and just how similar those things are, whether you're talking about like a very, very tiny scale or a massively huge scale. So I thought it was really beautiful and really informative, and a really fun, elegant way to kind of bridge the gaps and show just how interconnected everything is.
We Are Stardust. First off, the music in this was absolutely beautiful. I loved that. Voiceover, fantastic. Great pacing, great warmth. I really loved the read. The CG that the filmmakers used was absolutely outstanding. All of the detail that they got into it and the realism was exceptional. I loved the way they explained different things like local interstellar cloud, local bubble. I thought that that was very smart, and it was really, really educational. The whole thing was fascinating. It was educational, and I loved it. Great job.
We Are Stardust is a documentary short film that brings viewers through the beginning of our universe and breaks down what we are in a vast way compared to all that exists. This film had a really awesome moment where we start at human level, and it kind of brings us through the universe, increasing in distance to light years of space in the span of just a few seconds. And then it brings us back down to atom size also in a few seconds. It is a really cool way to just look at everything in such a broad way. It talks about the Big Bang and the start of the universe, and it breaks down our planet and life into simple concepts that are essential for life. It's a really great way of looking at us from a very broad light and simplifying the way we view ourselves and the world and how small we really are in the grand scheme of everything. I really liked the visuals that they used and thought it kept viewers very engaged throughout the film.